I'm Bill McCarren. I'm Executive Director of the National Press Club. And thinking about Jamal Khashoggi, opinion contributor for the Washington Post, who was murdered 4 years ago at this time, I learned about the disappearance of Jamal sitting at a National Press Club luncheon. A reporter for the Washington Post leaned across the table to me and said he had to go. One of their guys was missing in Istanbul. I didn't know it at the time, but that was Jamal. That's how I found out about it. And every year since then, we've been doing what we can at the press club to call for justice for Jamal. Each year, there seem to be new developments in the case, but unfortunately, we are still no closer to justice than we seemed to be 4 years ago. This year, the developments that caught our attention were the trip by President Biden to Saudi Arabia to meet with Mohammed bin Salman. And according to reports at that meeting, he expressed his concern about a murder with impunity by the Saudi government of an American journalist. And the presentation by the president, according to reports, was met in the room with little contrition and with pushback and with some amount of derision, lack of respect. This is with the president sitting there, and this is an ally of the United States of America. It was a low moment in the history of this case, and it is a low moment in American history. That was not enough for the Saudi government. They wanted to do more. They wanted to not only push this in the face of our government, but also just change the minds of American people about this subject. So they did this by taking on a golf project where they funded a competitor to the PGA called the LIV, and it's a golf tournament that is being shown on TV across the country, around the world. And they spent millions of dollars on this effort to get Americans, primarily in the rest of the world, to forget that they had killed a journalist. So there are things that you can do as individuals to push back on Saudi Arabia. One, about this golf, you can just not watch and tell your friends to not watch. And if you go into a bar and the golf is on, you can ask them to change the channel. If you're an advertiser, please don't spend your money on this golf. The great public relations firm Edelman has been hired by Saudi Arabia to promote this golf tournament and golf competition. And we think that Edelman have disgraced themselves by taking this account. We hope they will reconsider representation and move on. We ask journalists, when you're pitched by people from Edelman about any story for any client, maybe start by asking, how do you feel about working for a firm that thinks it's okay to take on a client that wants to use a bone saw on a journalist? We think that will be probably a good way to start and may help them in their effort to reconsider representation. There are many things that you can continue to do as individuals in DC. If you've been down by the Saudi embassy, you may have noticed that there's a new street sign that says Jamal Khashoggi Way. If you're down there, just take a picture of that. You can post it on social media, tell your friends to do it. It's a good way to get the word out that there are people in DC who are interested in protecting journalists and who are working for justice for Jamal. We at the Press Club have our own protocol that we follow. We don't allow Saudi security to enter the Press Club. We will allow Saudi citizens. We will allow Saudi government officials, just not their security. We believe it's possible that Saudi security personnel who may be coming in, might have been trained in the murder of a journalist, might have actually participated in the murder of a journalist, and so we don't want them in our space. And we invite other venues to consider doing the same thing when they're hosting Saudi Arabia or hosting people who are inviting Saudi Arabians Saudi Arabian officials to their events. We think that's a good approach and a good message to send. Finally, our hearts on this day go out to Khadija Sinjans. She is the fiancée of Jamal Khashoggi. She was in the parking lot at the Saudi embassy in Istanbul waiting for him to return from his meeting. She was there all night waiting. She's still waiting. We hope for Khadija and for journalists everywhere that soon there will be justice for Jamal. Thank you.